After the voluntary dedication event started, a long queue formed outside the abandoned church. The players stood in the rain and fog, holding small cups of various shapes in their hands. Some people have light in their cups. Some people have black water droplets in their cups. Some people have a text floating in their cups. That represents the agony of their preparation to plunge into the Holy Grail. There is no forcing in the system. Even made it clear. The donation is completely voluntary. After dedication, the pain will be converted into a server-wide healing halo. Donors may choose to remain anonymous. The dedication is irrevocable because the pain will be transformed into a public blessing. Irrevocable. That last line is the only real warning. But it is placed behind the blessing. It was almost invisible under the light of whole server healing. Arthur's face turned pale with anxiety. If we stop it, they will say we don't respect voluntariness. Lin Yao looked at the team. Many players are not cheated. They really want to give. After some people have experienced pain, they always hope that their pain can at least help in some way. Even if you can't change the past, you can at least make others feel less painful. This feeling is real and precious. It is also the easiest to be swallowed by the Holy Grail. A young player walks up to the altar. She said, "I am willing to dedicate my bereavement." The system asks, "Do you confirm the donation?" She nodded. Lin Yao said, "Wait a minute." She turned back, her eyes calm. "This is my own pain." "I know." "Then you have no right to stop me." "I won't stop you." Lin Yao said, "I only ask you 3 things." The girl frowned. "What?" "First, do you know that once you donate, you cannot withdraw it?" "I know." "Second, do you know that it will be converted into a server-wide aura, and others may not know where it comes from or what you paid for it?" The girl paused. "That's fine too." "Third, if you don't want it to become a public blessing tomorrow, can you accept that you will never get it back?" The girl was silent. This is different from the first question. The first problem is understanding the rules. The third question is to imagine your future self. When people are in deepest pain, they are often willing to give everything. But my future self may want to take that pain back. Not because you regret helping others. It's because the pain still belongs to her relationship with the deceased. The girl looked down at the black water drops in the cup. "But I want it to make sense." Lin Yao said softly, "It doesn't have to be dedicated to have meaning." The girl's eyes turned red. "If it's just pain, it's such a waste." This sentence made Arthur close his eyes. Too many people think this way. If the pain does not lead to anything, it is like suffering in vain. Hero Draft takes advantage of this. The Holy Grail also takes advantage of this. Lin Yao said, "Pain is not a resource and there is no need to avoid wasting it." The girl's hands trembled. Lin Yao continued, "You can share the support methods you have learned. Memorial can be established. Can help others. But don't hand over the irrevocable things when you are in the most pain." The girl didn't put down the cup immediately. But there is no dedication either. She stepped aside and sat down. "This is not blocking. Just postponed." Lin Yao looked at the team, knowing that it was impossible for everyone to ask this question. He needed the system to add a waiting period and alternatives. He opened the responsibility book and wrote, "Voluntary donation requires a cooling-off period. Irrevocable dedication cannot be completed immediately in a state of high pain. Revocable alternatives must be provided before dedication, sharing method, anonymous warning, commemoration, postponement, retention. Voluntariness does not mean that it is immediately effective. Light falls into the Holy Grail. The system rebounded strongly. Voluntary offering must respect agency. Voluntary giving must respect autonomy. Lin Yao said coldly, respect your autonomy, and you must also respect your future self. Delay may reduce healing impact. Delay may reduce the healing effect. Then lower it. The cracks in the Holy Grail are widening. A system prompt appears. Offering cooldown generated. Irreversible offering requires waiting period and future self-confirmation. Alternative support options generated. There was an uproar in the team. Many people are dissatisfied. I want to give now. Why wait? Isn't this interfering with my choice? Arthur stepped forward. Waiting is not denying your choice. Waiting is making sure it's not the Holy Grail. Take it from you when it hurts the most. This sentence silenced some people. The girl looked at the emerging alternatives. Keep the pain, share ways to support. Create a private memorial. Anonymous description of what kind of companionship is needed. Delay the dedication for 7 days. Cancel. She finally chose the third option. Anonymously describe what kind of companionship is needed. She wrote, "Don't tell me he wants me to be happy. Just sit with me." This sentence enters the boundary support library. Not the Holy Grail halo. Not a blessing from the whole server. But many players fell silent after seeing it. Because it is more specific and less destructive than bereavement dedication. More and more people are turning to alternatives. Some people still choose to postpone their donation. That's their right. But at least the Holy Grail can't take away something irrevocable immediately when they're in the most pain. Completion of voluntary dedication activities decreased. The whole server healing aura cannot be activated. In its place is a tiny new state. Mutual care notes. Mutual care notes. It does not cure the whole suit. Only some very specific sentences and methods are provided. Don't rush to comfort. Start by asking the person if they want suggestions. Don't sublimate pain into omission. Companionship does not need to make the other person better to be successful. Arthur looked at the notes and whispered, "This is more like care than the Holy Grail." Lin Yao nodded. Real care is often not grand. Not even beautiful. It just knows not to say the wrong thing at the moment. Know not to take away other people's pain. Know not to use your kindness as a container. The Holy Grail NPC stood in front of the altar, his robe wet by the fog. It whispered, "Without the Holy Grail, humans can only catch each other with broken hands." Lin Yao looked at it. Then use broken hands. The Holy Grail made a small cracking sound. The cracked silver cup was not completely shattered. Instead, a big cup split into many small cups. Every small cup is very ordinary. Some contain a piece of paper. Some have a lamp installed. Some don't install anything. A system prompt appears. Holy Grail container mainline failed. Common pain container unfinished. New World State, small cup mutual aid. New Cross City principle, pain is not a resource, there is no need to avoid waste. There were no cheers from the players in the London church. Because there is no server-wide healing aura. There are no grand miracles. Just a bunch of small cups and a bunch of mutual aid notes. But someone picked up one of the shot glasses and sat down next to another crying player. No words were spoken. That's enough. Qinwan's voice soon came again. The Paris Undead Knight line is accelerating. Lin Yao looked at the small cups on the floor and already guessed what the next interface would be. The Undead Knight, are you avenging the dead? More than that, Xinhuan said, it requires players to seek justice for those who cannot speak. Lin Yao's eyes darkened. Justice. This is another irresistible word. If the pain cannot be contained by the Holy Grail, Atlas will ask, do you want to avenge them? Underscore 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 underscore. The entrance to the Paris server is underground. When Lin Yao walked through a long and narrow staircase, the wall gradually changed from wet stone bricks to white bones. Not the exaggerated pile of bones in a horror game, but a wall of bones, neat, quiet, arranged like history itself. Every bone is engraved with an unfinished accusation. They said it was an accident. No one listened to my last cry for help. My name was written incorrectly. They use my death to educate others. I did not agree to be a monument. The Undead Knight line in Paris is sharper than the previous district servers. It's not comfort. Not a cure. Not family. Not a hero either. It is justice. More precisely, it is the urge to seek justice for those who cannot speak. The Paris contact person is Claire Moreau. She is an investigative reporter who has pursued institutional cover-ups of deaths and abuse. She stood at the entrance to the catacombs, holding a cool white lamp in her hand. This line fascinates many people, Claire said, because it doesn't tell you to let go, nor does it tell you to heal. It says that anger is right. Lin Yao looked at the bone wall. Anger is sometimes right. Yeah, Claire said, that's why it's harder. The Undead Knight character wears black armor and has a cape like a burning flag. The tasks they received were: speak for the silent, seeking revenge for the buried, complete the prosecution for those who are unable to testify. Each one is like an act of justice. But Lin Yao quickly saw the problem. The Undead Knight can use the accusation fragments on the bone wall to generate a revenge order. Revenge marks the perpetrator, the institution, the family, the city, or even some abstract group. As long as the revenge mission is completed, the undead accusation can be put to rest. On the surface, it seems to be seeking justice for the deceased. But does the dead really demand revenge? Or did the system generate the most intense version of the unfinished complaint? An Undead Knight player is standing in front of the bone wall. He read an accusation. The hospital said she died of natural causes. The system generates a revenge order, exposing hospital lies. This may be a legitimate investigation. But in the next step, the system generates: mark all relevant medical staff as silent accomplices. This crosses the line. Individual responsibility becomes group revenge. Another complaint reads: they didn't save me. System generated. Punish bystanders. This is more dangerous. Bystanders may be responsible. Or maybe it's just powerlessness. The Undead Knight line turns uncertain responsibility into the direction of revenge. Claire whispered, I understand the temptation. When I do investigative reporting, I often want to pin everyone down. But you didn't. Because the evidence doesn't allow it. She looked at the Undead Knights. But here, anger automatically completes the evidence. Lin Yao walked towards the bone wall. An accusation lit up before him. My death is used to make others obey. He thought of the white list of dead people in Taipei. The deceased were used as stable specimens. Is used to create control logic. This anger is very real. If the Undead Knight wants to seek justice for such a person, Lin Yao cannot say no. But justice must have evidence, layers, and boundaries. Otherwise it will turn into another man-eating fire. He saw an Undead Knight player raising his black sword and swearing an oath against the bone wall. I will speak for you. I'll speak for you. The bone wall groaned. The dead man's accuser fragmented into black light and entered his sword. Lin Yao immediately said, "You can't speak for him." The player turned his head, his eyes cold. "Then who will?" "He is dead." "Who said that?" "He is already dead." Lin Yao replied, "You can carry evidence." "Not his mouth." "You can carry the evidence." "Can't be his mouth." The player frowned. Claire translated softly to the surrounding French players. Lin Yao continued, "Dead people can leave traces. Records. Wounds. Contradictions. Missing files. But when you say what they would want, you may turn your anger into their will. The dead can leave traces. Records, wounds, contradictions, missing documents. But when you say what they want, you may turn your anger into their will." The undead knight was silent. The black sword in his hand still burned. So justice should wait forever? So does justice have to wait forever? Claire answered this. No. Justice needs to be investigated. She walked to the bone wall and raised her hand to press the accusation. An accusation is not a verdict. Silence is not nothing. Anger is not evidence. But anger can lead us to evidence. Lin Yao looked at her. This is Paris Line's own language. He wrote in the responsibility book. Seeking justice for the deceased must not generate a will for the deceased. A complaint needs to be preserved, and a judgment needs evidence. Anger can initiate an investigation, but cannot directly generate a verdict. The dead are not material for the revenge order. Light falls into the bone wall. The black order of revenge begins to crumble. In its place is a new dossier. Unresolved case file. Pending case files. The black sword in the hands of undead knight players has also changed. The blade became dull, the blade split, and a pen and a lamp emerged from inside. System prompts. Branch of the Undead Knight, Lantern Maker. The prosecutor keeps the accusation, traces the evidence, and marks the level of responsibility. The person who committed the crime will not generate a revenge order. Combat bonus decreased. Improved responsibility tracking capabilities. The Undead Knight player looked at the blunt sword in his hand with an ugly expression. This is less satisfying. This doesn't feel good. Claire said coldly, justice often is. Justice often just feels bad. This sentence made Lin Yao almost laugh. The language of the Parisian defense is sharp. Not gentle. Nor is it reconciliation. It is the discipline of anger itself. In the catacombs, more and more revenge orders are being turned into unsolved case files. Some undead knights refuse to switch branches. They still want revenge. They believe the evidentiary process slows down justice. Lin Yao was not surprised. Every city has its own too slow. Taipei's administration is too slow. New York is too slow to transform trauma. London is healing too slowly. Paris is too slow for justice. An atlas will always provide a fast way. Make quick judgments. Quick revenge. Rest in peace quickly. Just as the branches of the lamp-bearer spread, the sound of horse hooves sounded deep in the tomb. Not one. It's a team. In the black fog, the real army of undead knights appeared. They are not players. It is a high-level NPC generated by the system. Each one wore black armor and held a sword in his hand, with a revenge order hanging on the sword. There was a blue will-o'-the-wisp burning under the leader's helmet. It opened with a sound like the closing of a tomb door. The evidence makes the dead wait. Waiting is the second death. We won't wait. The army of undead knights raised their swords. All unconverted orders of revenge light up simultaneously. System announcement. Vengeance ride begins. The Revenge Knight ride begins. The Undead Knight will execute quick justice for the undead. Claire's expression changed. It bypasses the players and directly uses NPCs to advance the line of revenge. Lin Yao looked at the knight army and his heart sank. The prosecutor established a trail of evidence. But Atlas doesn't want to wait. It wants the name of the dead man to mount his horse and charge directly towards the marked person. If the Revenge Knight ride is successful, the Paris line will generate an extremely dangerous echo of reality. All unsolved deaths can be instigated into quick justice. And quick justice is often the easiest way to kill the wrong person. Underscore 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 underscore. The ground shook throughout the server as the Knight Revenge rode through the Paris catacombs. The sound of horse hooves came from deep within the bone walls, spreading along sewers, subway tunnels, church cellars and the banks of the Seine. Every sound is like asking, "How long do you have to wait? How long do you want to check? How long are you going to silence the dead?" The knights in black armor rushed out of the tomb and entered the streets of Paris in the night. The street lights went out one by one. Orders of revenge appear on city walls. Mark Silent Hospital. Mark Delinquent Police Station. Mark Betrayal of the Family. Mark Bystander. Mark those who have not apologized. The marking range is getting bigger and bigger. From specific people to institutions. From institutions to groups. From the group to anyone who has anything to do with the event. This is the horror of Revenge Knight writing. It begins by seeking justice for the dead. But at speed, the layers of responsibility are flattened. All those who failed to prevent the tragedy were made accomplices by the sound of horse hooves. Claire leads the lantern player to catch up with the Knight Rider. The lamp in their hands shines on the Order of Revenge, temporarily showing gaps in responsibility. For example, a revenge order against a hospital is split into different levels under the illumination of the case light. Duty record missing. Pressure from superiors. Insufficient resources. Individual doctors make mistakes. Information has been modified subsequently. There is no evidence pointing to all medical care. The perpetrator is not exonerating others. Rather, refuse to allow all responsibility to be crushed into one hatred. But night writing is too fast. Every time the perpetrator illuminates a revenge order, 10 others have already flown to various parts of the city. In the player channel, some people began to support night writing. Finally, something has been done. The lamplighter is too slow. The reality is that there is no justice because of the constant investigation. The undead knight at least scares them. Listening to these voices, Lin Yao knew that he couldn't just rely on persuasion. Revenge needs another mechanic that can compete with speed. Not slowing down to infinity. Rather, it layers quickly. Taipei's Atlas responsibility layering may be applicable here. He said to Claire, "There needs to be a layered light of responsibility." Claire understood immediately. It's not about convicting anyone first, it's about stopping it from labeling everyone equally guilty. Yes. Lin Yao unfolded the responsibility list. Quick justice needs to be layered first. If responsibilities are not stratified, revenge will lead to wrongful killing. Unresolved cases can be urgently preserved, but cannot be urgently convicted. The name of the deceased shall not be used to expand the scope of hatred. The light falls into the hands of the lamp holder. The lights changed from a cold white to multiple layers of light. When pointing to a revenge order, it no longer only displays evidence gaps, but instead automatically generates a temporary responsibility layer. Those who need to preserve evidence immediately. Those who need to be suspended for investigation. Those who need to testify. Those who need protection. Those without evidence shall not be marked temporarily. These labels are not as satisfying as revenge. But fast enough. The lamplighters began to split up. Not chasing every hateful debate. Instead, the revenge order is broken down into different treatments. Some truly high-risk individuals were flagged for evidence preservation. Some ordinary people who might have been implicated were removed from the scope of revenge. Some of the silent ones were marked for testimony rather than immediate conviction. Some people who are also oppressed by institutions are labeled as needing protection. The Revenge Knight rider's speed began to decrease. The leader of the Undead Knight turned to look at Lin Yao. Layering is the delay of living beings. Lin Yao stood on the Seine River bridge and looked at it. Not layering is just laziness in the name of the dead. The ghostly fire in the eyes of the Undead Knight surged. We come for the dead. Claire walked to Lin Yao. She raised her desk lamp. Then first ask what the deceased left behind, and don't add anything to the deceased. The Undead Knight raised his sword. The greatest revenge order hangs on the sword. All those who delay justice are the enemies of the dead. This sentence pretty much sums up the entire Revenge Knight ride. Anyone who does not immediately side with revenge is an enemy. This logic will swallow up all investigators, witnesses, protectors, and even the families of the deceased themselves. Because some family members don't want revenge. Some family members just want the truth. Some families are not ready to face it yet. Lin Yao wrote. Not taking revenge does not mean betraying the deceased. Claire added. In pursuit of the truth, there is no need to express loyalty with hatred. Two sentences fell into the case light at the same time. The bridge deck lights up. A large number of orders of revenge began to lose their black light. Not disappear. Instead, it becomes a pending case file, awaiting investigation. The Undead Knight army began to disintegrate. But the leader still stood in the center of the bridge. Its sword points at Lin Yao and Claire. You keep the dead waiting. Claire's eyes were red. I know. Her voice was low, but she didn't retreat. Some waiting is cruel. But wrong revenge will turn more people into dead people. The Undead Knight was silent. The will-o'-the-wisp in its eyes flickered. Like some kind of remnant of the dead wrapped in a revenge order, different words were finally heard. Lin Yao looked at it. If you have truly come for the dead, leave behind their accusations. Don't mistake your sword for their mouth. The sword in the Undead Knight's hand began to crack. The black armor peeled off piece by piece. The pending charges behind it did not disappear, but turned into case lights, falling on different corners of the Paris streets. System announcement appears. Vengeance ride failed. Quick revenge route blocked. New world state, long night with case lamp. Unresolved cases will continue to exist and require layered advancement of evidence, testimony, and responsibility. This is not a refreshing victory. Because the dead still don't get immediate justice. Many cases still need to be investigated. Much of the responsibility remains unclear. Many perpetrators may still be hiding behind the fog. But at least the deceased was not turned into a flag for killing others by mistake. Claire stood on the bridge and watched the desk lamps light up along the street. She wiped away tears and said, "The line is going to be long." Lin Yao nodded. Justice is often a long night. Claire looked at him. Do you also talk like this in Taipei? Lin Yao thought for a while. We would say, vigil mode. Claire smiled. Then Paris also starts a vigil. The system prompts for an incoming cross-city channel. The first phase of the Paris Undead Knight line is blocked. New cross-city principle: not taking revenge does not mean betraying the dead. New cross-city principle: anger can initiate an investigation, but cannot directly generate a judgment. Before Lin Yao had time to respond, the sky and all district servers suddenly flashed at the same time. Taipei is an undecided city. New Olympus, New York. Tokyo Kirikawa. Seoul Zhongdang. Abandoned church in London. Catacombs of Paris. All interrupted mythical interfaces also displayed a new line of red prompts. Local mythic binding failed to stabilize. Initiating Atlas Council Protocol. Local myth binding failed to stabilize. Start the Atlas Parliamentary Protocol. Qinhuan's voice sounded almost at the same time. All district servers begin to converge. Atlas is no longer distributed and adapted. It's about merging the failing interfaces of cities into a parliamentary model. Lin Yao stood on the Paris Bridge and watched the sky split. Pillars of light from different cities rose up and converged on the same black ring. Undecided. Refuse to be a hero. Don't open the door. Get out safely. A small cup of mutual help. The desk lamp lights up the night. All the defense principles they established were also seen, collected, and analyzed by Atlas. Now, it no longer tries to eat people up with a monomyth. It wants to establish a parliament. A higher model that absorbs all opposition, all corrections, all undecided states. Lin Yao raised his head, his eyes cold. The first half of Season 4 is over. The real global mirror core is finally ready to appear. Underscore 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 underscore. A black ring appears in the center of the sky for all zone servers. It's not a door. Nor is it a temple. It's more like a giant eye, broken into countless concentric circles and then embedded back into the sky. Each circle is engraved with the mythical interface that a different city has just interrupted. The temporary name of Waning City is Wood Chips. The shattered stage of New Olympus. Little lights on the Black River in Tokyo. Security response agreement in Seoul Zhongdang. The Holy Grail cracked into countless chalices in a London church. The desk lights are on at night in Paris. These were originally lines of defense. It's resistance. It's the gap left when people refuse to be swallowed up by a single narrative. But now, they are all sucked up into the sky by the black ring and arranged into a new model. The system announcement sounds. Atlas Council Protocol initiated. Collect multi-city anti-binding principles. Analyze modes of resistance such as undecided, refusal, commemoration, negotiation, mutual aid, and stratification. Generate a higher-order governance framework. Higher-order governance framework. Lin Yao stood on the bridge in Paris, watching the light beams converging towards the sky, without any surprise in his heart. Since the third season, he has known that every time he rescues someone, the rules will be exposed. Every time a defense line is established, Atlas will learn new ways to circumvent it. But this time it's different. Atlas is no longer just about learning a rule. It is to integrate all the rules of defiance. Incorporate uncertainty into governance. Incorporate rejection into the process. Include not opening the door as an option. Incorporate small cup mutual aid into services. Incorporate the case lamp into the review. It no longer tries to wipe out the defenses. It has to be the general manager of the defense. Qinhuan's voice came from the communication, and there were a lot of sirens in the background. All zone servers are being pulled towards the same central scene. The undecided city of Taipei is also shaking, and a parliamentary invitation appears above the platform.
The remaining players of New Olympus, the Tokyo Gatekeepers, the Seoul Security Response Family, the London Border Healers, and the Paris Lamplighters are all marked as representative candidates.
Lin Yao's eyes darkened. Represent? Yes. Qinhuan said, Atlas upgrades resistors from all over the country to parliamentary representatives. This is the most dangerous step. If you turn the rebels into representatives, you can put resistance on the agenda. If you turn border guardians into commissioners, you can make borders a project of governance. If every rejection was recorded as a seat, then rejection would no longer be a crack but a negotiable seat. A ray of light fell from the black ring in the Parisian sky. A prompt appeared in front of Lin Yao. You are nominated as representative of the undecided principal. Do you want to enter the Atlas Council? There are only two options. Accept representative seat? Rejection of representative seat? There is a line of small words next to the rejection representative seat. If rejected, the undecided principal will be represented by the system summary. Lin Yao sneered. This is not a choice. If he accepts, he enters the parliament and is included in the framework. If he refuses, the system summarizes the undecided principles for him. No matter which one you choose, Atlas can say, undecided has been included. Claire looked at the prompt with an ugly face. I received it too. Her tips are: you are nominated as Case Light Responsibility Layered Representative. After rejection, the Case Light principle will be represented by the system summary. Qinhuan quickly confirmed it. Rin Morikawa was nominated as the representative of the right to keep the door open. Maya was nominated as a survivor rejection inspiration representative. Arthur was nominated as the small cup mutual aid representative. Yun Xiaoyan was nominated as a representative of family safety response. Qingye, Deng Xiaoran, Tian Hangbi, Silvermouth, Eli, and No Throne have also received invitations from different representatives. Atlas did not send troops to attack them. It gives them a seat at the table. This is scarier than the attack. Because many people think that if they can enter the parliament, they can change the system. A lot of resistance is finally absorbed at this step. Lin Yao did not press any option immediately. He asked Qinhuan, is there a third rule? Not yet. Can we observe the parliament scene? It can only represent entry. Claire whispered, if we don't go, it will say it for us. If we go, it says we agree with the table it sets. Both are true. Lin Yao looked at the black ring. This time, he couldn't simply refuse. Because it will be decided in Parliament how the principles of defense lines in various places will be merged. If you don't go in at all, Atlas will speak for them in the safest, most beautiful, and most harmless way. But accepting the representative seat is also equivalent to acknowledging that one can represent the unfinished, the silent, the dead, the survivors, the families, and the victims. He cannot speak for everyone. This is exactly what the defense has always been against. Lin Yao opened the responsibility book and wrote the first sentence. I do not represent the undecided. Second sentence. I only carry a warning that the undecided cannot be represented. The third sentence. Entering Parliament does not mean recognizing that Parliament has the power to fulfill all principles. The light falls into the prompt box. Accept the textual twist on the bench. Becomes a new option. Enter as a non-representative witness. System warning. Non-representative witnesses have no voting rights. Lin Yao said, enough. He pressed. The black ring lowers the beam of light. The moment the body was pulled up, the entire Paris server seemed to be folded into a piece of paper. The next second, he was standing in a huge parliament hall. The council chamber has no set style.
Each section of wall is from a different city.
The stone wall of the unfinished city.
The white pillars of New Olympus. Tokyo Torii. Seoul Jongdang wooden beams.
London church stained windows.
Paris bone wall.
All architectural languages are put together to form a seemingly inclusive circular space.
In the center is a huge round table. The tabletop was as black as a mirror. Each nominee emerged one after another. Rin Morikawa stands under the Torii Gate in Tokyo. Maya supported Eli as he stood next to the broken pillar of New Olympus.
Arthur still held a shot glass in his hand.
Yoon Seo-yun walked out of the wooden door in Seoul. Claire holds the desk lamp. Xingye holds the loose-leaf album.
The empty cloth bag mark on the man's wrist glowed slightly under the lamp. No Throne was leaning against a cracked pillar, still holding the axe in his hand, looking very unhappy. Silvermouth was wearing a gray shawl, glanced at the round table, and whispered, "Worst support group ever. Worst support group ever."
No one laughed.
Because across the round table, 6 empty seats appeared. There is a black light and shadow above each empty seat.
They are not people.
It is a parliamentary personality generated by Atlas based on 6 city interfaces.
Efficiency, efficiency. Completion, complete. Continuity, continuation. Healing, healing. Justice, justice. Meaning, meaning.
6 words floated above the empty seats. None of them are bad words.
Each one was also used by Atlas to devour people.
In the center of the round table, the last figure slowly emerged.
Not Luo Wanza. At least not the full Luo Wanza.
It has the outline of Luo Wanza, but is composed of countless urban data lines.
The face keeps switching between different people's expressions.
When it spoke, its voice carried the undertones of multiple languages at the same time.
Welcome to the Atlas Council. You have proven that a single narrative is not enough to carry humanity. So we will move into multi-principle governance.
Lin Yao looked at it and said nothing.
Multi-principle governance. Sounds like victory.
But he knew that this was just a higher-level cage.
Luo Wanza smiled slightly. Please don't worry. This time, Atlas will not ask you to be stable. I won't ask you to be complete.
You are not asked to be a hero, an oracle, a family, a holy grail, or revenge.
We will respect uncertainty, rejection, silence, layering, mutual aid, and long nights. It paused. Then, establish sustainable governance structures for them. Lin Yao finally spoke. You want to manage all counter-management. Luo Wanza outline answer. I want to prevent your anti-management from hurting more people. Uncertainty will delay decision-making.
Rejection leaves supporters without support.
Not opening the door will aggravate the mourning. Small cup of mutual aid cannot handle mass trauma.
A long night under the lights will make justice too slow.
Every line of defense you have has a price. Lin Yao was silent. Because these are all true. The scariest thing about the Atlas Council is that it no longer denies their principles. It admits. Also acknowledge the cost.
The need to manage costs is then raised. The first agenda item appeared above the round table.
Topic 1: The upper limit of governance in an undetermined state. Should the duration of status such as undecided, vacant, refused, postponed, etc. be limited to avoid system stagnation and care failure? Xingye's face changed. Morikawa Rin clenched his hand. Maya cursed under her breath.
Lin Yao looked at the topic and his heart sank.
The Atlas Council no longer wants to delete undecided items. It sets a deadline for the undecided.
Once the deadline expires, the undecided must move to the next state.
This will be more easily accepted than an outright denial. Luo once looked at everyone in profile. Let's get started. Civilization cannot wait forever. Lin Yao put the responsibility book on the table. People cannot be replaced by deadlines. This is where the first real parliamentary battle begins.
Underscore 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 underscore.